they keep enabling him. If every time he wants, every time he's upset, anytime he doesn't get his way, he goes and he try and goes to a team, and his way is just like, hey, I'm going to be out of shape, and then when I go to, boom, I'm back in shape. You can't do that forever. As a man who's 37, you can't do that anymore.
Apparently you can,
Yeah.
William. Apparently you can. Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams. You can see the Odd Coaches Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. I heart everything. And on this Wind Up Wednesday edition, I am happy to have my captain for life, Rubio, Will Cotton. Will, how you doing today, man?
Doing great, doing great. Got some golf today. Beautiful day today. I ain't gonna lie.
All right, and our favorite administrator is here, and I need his help as always, Robert Abney. Robert, how are you, sir?
I'm living the dream over here, man. High school football playoffs starting. Had a basketball game last night. I got basketball and football games this week. It's just living the dream, man.
All right. So on today's show, folks, we're going to talk NBA in-season tournament. It is here. We're excited about it. At least some of us are. I know I am. So we're going to break this down for you so you know everything you need to know about this. In addition, we're going to talk about eligibility rules and try to help some of you transfer people, whether you're in high school or college, because the rules are quite out there, and yet people are still kind of, upset with the bylaws. And in segment 3, we'll do all things women's basketball, and we will end today's show with a tribute to the General Robert Montgomery Knight. But first, NBA in-season tournament. So the tournament, whose finals will be December 9th in Las Vegas. And fellas, they had all kinds of signage when I was in Vegas. We'll see each team play a 4-game group stage in November, with group winners advancing to the knockout rounds. Until the tournament plays itself out, it's going to be kind of hard to see what the motivation is. So let me first tell our fans why this is happening. One, revenue. The NBA believes the in-season tournament can be a significant moneymaker, and if I'm not mistaken, the TV rights are up soon. So the other hope is to draw more eyeballs to the league. The games are on Tuesdays and Fridays in November, and they're not the hottest football nights other than Maction and maybe a Big Ten game or two. So the format is built into the regular season schedule. The 30 teams are split up in 6 5-team groups. The 4 group stage games will be played on 7 November dates, 4 Fridays, 3 Tuesdays, and then the quarterfinals will be played December 4th and 5th at the higher seeded team, a little bit of March Madness. Semifinals and championship will be played December 7th and 9th in Viva Las Vegas. Robert, I'm going to start with you. What are you thinking? Is this going to catch on? Or this is going to be a 1-year thing and be done with it?
I think they'll try it for a few years at least. I mean, it's a money grab. I mean, let's just call it what it is. They're trying to find some ways to generate some revenue, and they do it during the time of season when people aren't all that interested because there's still football and all this other stuff. I mean, I'm a casual NBA fan. I don't watch a lot of games until the playoffs come on. Am I going to watch this? No, I'm not. Unless Wemby's playing, I might watch Wemby, but that's about it.
Okay. All right. Will, you're my captain, man. You're the player. What are you thinking about the tournament, sir?
I think just everybody doesn't know what's going to happen. I think we talked to Bones Highland, and he was like, "I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I'm just told to play." And they got a trophy next to the game, and I'm like, "Okay, well, I guess I'm just going to play this one and try and win." So I guess everyone's trying to figure out what is this going to look like, what is it going to do. Apparently, Adam Silver and Coach are the only two people who really knows what's going on with this thing. So,
I like the courts though. The courts look nice, man.
yeah, I was
The
watching it.
courts look awesome.
I went to a bar to watch some of the games, and I was like, "Is this Euro? Are they playing? Are they playing like FIBA?" It took me like 2 seconds to figure out that they were playing on like a blue thing. But I thought it was cool. Look, do what they got to do, man. It's fun. Hopefully, it makes sense. A lot of people are just having like questions. But if you need to know, follow the Odd Coaches podcast, and they got all the answers for you because I didn't know how it was, and he hooked it up for me. So I appreciate that, man.
All right. So that was a great segue, Will. So, fans, what do the players get for winning? The players of the winning team will get 500,000, while the runner-ups will get 200,000. The losing players in the semifinals will get 100,000, and the losing players in the quarterfinals will get 50,000, or a whole year of the WNBA's regular salary. Will anyone earn individual honors? There will be a most valuable player award for the in-season tournament, as well as an all-tournament team. And Will, I'm laughing because we used to have the little in-season tournament, the little holiday tournament with the little trophy or the medal.
Yep.
So that's kind of where my mind went. Will this have any impact on the playoffs? Not at all. So, Robert, I got to ask you, would you be okay with them saying the winner of the in-season tournament is guaranteed a playoff slot? They're the 6 seed minimum.
Yes.
You'd be okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. And finally, why is it called the NBA Cup? The NBA has said it went with the most basic title to its trophy in its in-season tournament. However, by using a regular old name, when it comes time to sell those rights, somebody might want to buy it. So everybody's watching to make sure this is going to work the way they want to. All right, so my OCP top 10, and I will notice there's one team noticeably absent from it. Fans, I think you'll get the idea. I got Denver at 1, Golden State at 2, Boston at 3, New Orleans at 4, Dallas at 5, Philadelphia at 6, San Antonio at 7, Lakers at 8, Bucks are 9, and the Hawks are 10. Gentlemen, there's one team that is not on, and that is the Los Angeles Clippers. Will, I'm going to let you go first so I can kind of get my thoughts together so I don't scream and holler. Any thoughts about the James Harden trade before Coach goes nuts?
They keep enabling him. If every time he wants, every time he's upset, anytime he doesn't get his way, he goes and he goes to a team, and his way is just like, hey, I'm going to be out of shape, and then when I go to, boom, I'm back in shape. You can't do that forever. As a man who's 37, you can't do that you can't do that anymore.
Apparently you can, William. Apparently you can.
Well, 30 millions is a lot of motivation, so I feel you on that. But
man,
it's going to run out. I mean, it's going to run. I think you're attacking coaches. You're talking about, oh, I'm a special player, and I can't be put in a structure, and I gotta be. I'm like, dude, people know this is the last stop for him, and I think he doesn't care enough that he's like, if I go play in China, I don't care because I'm gonna get paid and I'm gonna do whatever I want, and it's the James Harden show. I don't know. I haven't seen them, so we'll see what happens. It's perplexing. I just that's all I got to say.
Okay, what do you Robert?
Think? What do you think Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are thinking to themselves when they see James Harden saying, "I am the system"?
Right.
He did say that. So, Robert, I'm going to use your knowledge. I need my administrator here. It is obvious that Daryl Morey lied to James Harden. It's obvious. Okay. So I don't think we're going to argue that he got over with the contract that you freely, willingly signed, trusting management. And we tell people all the time, don't trust me. You can't do it. But with that being said, if you're the LA Clippers and you're sitting next to James Harden at that press conference, you have to feel, wrestling fans, like Tony Khan did when CM Punk went rogue. And he's like, what are you doing? And wrestling fans know what I'm talking about. But if you're the Clippers, how are you handling that, Robert? Because he's got to play for you now.
You decided to have the press conference. I mean, again, when you get James Harden, you know what you're getting. That they knew what they were getting, and they had to know that he was going to say something like that. And I mean, who knows what kind of relationship Paul George and Harden has with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and all the other Clippers guys. I don't know. I have no idea. But that's going to be interesting for them to sort out. I think that at least with Paul George, maybe, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's won an NBA championship, has he?
No, he has not.
Okay. So he may be at a point in his career where he's just like, if this clown can help me get a ring, let's go. Which is easy to say, but all these guys got egos, and it's going to be real interesting. I mean, if I'm sitting there next to James Harden while he's saying I am the system, internally, I'm like, I'm dying inside.
Yeah, right.
I'm dying inside because I mean,
that's a Simpsons reference. I'm sitting there looking at the Simpsons now, saying I can see shrinking of the body.
You have to know when you sign James Harden, and clearly they didn't, because they went ahead and did it. But you have to know what you're getting, and you have to know it's not going to end well.
Well, I want to timestamp this at the time of this taping. The Clippers are 3-2, 5 games into the season. So we'll see what happens, and we will follow it. But games of the week, we will always do Friday games in our November tapings because it's the in-season tournament. So Minnesota plays New Orleans is playing Houston. I do want to see Zion. The Clippers are playing Dallas, another underperforming team. So that should be interesting. The Lakers are playing the Suns, and the Suns got beat twice by the Spurs. What's going on? And OKC, who I'm loving, playing Sacramento. So as we transition, fans, if you follow me on social media, I'm doing something that I'm calling secondary money line madness. This season, I'm testing out some secondary money line bets or on the NBA based on my power rankings. Not keeping a lot of data on this yet, but I will keep you posted. So when we get back, let's talk eligibility with the NCAA. We'll be right back on the iCoaches podcast.
The high school and college academic and athletic landscape is changing. The growing number of college transfers, as well as student athletes being able to profit off the use of their name, image, and likeness, has given student athletes the freedom and power to make life-changing decisions. That is why it is important for student athletes to be properly informed throughout the decision-making process. The difference between success and failure is often measured not by yards, but by inches, and even the most successful coaches and players use outside independent consultants to help improve their decision-making, which improves their results. That is what the CKA Save Project would like to do for student athletes across the country, improve their academic and athletic results. Our academic and athletic consulting services assist student athletes with the college decision-making process. The CKA team of former high school and college coaches can provide student athletes an independent assessment of their academic and athletic skills to assist student athletes in their college decision-making process. Let the CKA team evaluate your academic and athletic ability to assist you in finding the right fit for your academic and athletic career. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free virtual consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the iCoaches podcast. In segment 2, we're going to talk some college basketball and some eligibility rulings. And again, I'm glad I have Robert here. We're going to talk about a couple of them. So let's start with Memphis. Memphis forward DeAndre Williams' request for an additional year of eligibility was denied by the NCAA, the school announced last week. Williams had applied for a waiver for an extra year, but his initial request was denied. He and the school appealed the decision, and that was denied as well. Williams, who turned 27 in early October, initially signed with Evansville in the class of 2018. He was ruled ineligible for his first season, and in 2018 and 2019, then he played 18 games in 2019-20 before transferring to Memphis, started in 80 games over the past 3 seasons, and he averaged 14.6 during his time at Memphis. He was a first team All AAC honors, putting up 17 and 8. Will, are you surprised that this was denied, sir?
No, this kid is 27 years old. He's almost 30.
Okay.
You've been in college for almost 8 years. Move on with your life, man. Move on.
Man, but his first season was 2018, 2019.
Oh my goodness.
Then he played 18 in 2019 and 20. Okay.
Nah, I mean, at the end of the day, you can't have 27, 28-year-old men playing with 18, 19-year-old kids. Like it's just like in football. It's like, what are we doing? You get the foolishness out of here. You're staying in college for 8, 9 years. Like you have a career. You know what I'm saying? You have on your basketball card, it's going to have lines for college. This is ridiculous. Get these guys out of here.
All right, Robert, you are an administrator, and I think you will approach this a little differently than Sir William. What do you think about that denial?
I don't know if I'm going to approach it differently because when I was 27 years old, I was in my 4th year of teaching. I was in my 4th year of teaching when I was 27 years old. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. And I agree with Will. I think that some of this eligibility stuff, I mean, he's 27 years old. And I don't know how the COVID year figures into that. If I'm doing the math correctly, it looks like he should still have another year, but I don't know. And it's so hard to know with the COVID years. And the other thing is this. I mean, there's been so much eligibility confusion with the NCAA anyway that I mean, if he were so inclined, he could probably sue and get an injunction and play. I mean, it seems like he could do that, but it seems like it would be wiser for him if he put up 17 and 8 last year, first team American Conference. Go play in Europe. Go make some money. Get out of here.
I mean, he can't NIL. He can make. I guess NIL money was better here, so he's trying to stay here. But like you said, get out of here. Go play in Europe.
Yeah, go.
Get out. Okay.
All right, there's another one. Go play in Greece or something. Go see the world.
Okay. All right. So UCLA star freshman Ade Mara was cleared for competition, Robert, by the NCAA last week. He's a 7'3" center from Spain and arguably the best international prospect entering college basketball this season. He has dominated on the international scene, and he is a projected lottery pick. He is one of 4 international freshmen entering UCLA's program this year, along with other potential one-and-done players. So, Robert, the international kid got cleared. Any thoughts on that?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I've never been able to figure out how the NCAA clears these kids who come over from Europe.
Eligibility center.
In the sense that, they all, because in Europe, you don't play for high schools, you play for a club. And generally when you play for a club, they are providing you benefits of some sort. I don't know if these kids get a salary or if they just get taken care of. I don't know how that works. I suspect it's probably like the prep schools.
Well, let's help you out there because we're going to transition, great segue, to Chicago State. I love this when the show works. Twin brothers, Matt and Ryan Booley, former 5-star prospects who signed to play with Chicago State this season, has sued the NCAA in federal court after they were denied eligibility for receiving money they say was generated from their name, image, and likeness while competing for Overtime Elite. The federal antitrust lawsuit filed in U.S. District Court last week accuses the NCAA of violating its own policies. So the brothers lived in Florida before competing with Overtime Elite, and a U.S. district judge is scheduling a hearing for this coming week regarding the injunction. Under pressure from state law, the NCAA changes its rules several times. So, Robert, you see bylaw 12.2.3.2.1. This is an NCAA bylaw, provides exceptions that allow student athletes in sports other than ice hockey and skiing to compete on a professional team, provided the individual does not receive more than actual and necessary expenses to participate on that team. So, with that information, one got cleared, the kid from Spain. The two twin brothers did not, based on the fact that they may have received more benefits than logical. What do you think, Robert?
Based on what I know of Overtime Elite, that's if you're planning on trying to go play college basketball, that's not a good place to go, because it looks like they actually pay their guys. And if they're paying them a salary, that ain't gonna fly. I don't know how this lawsuit, I mean, you can sue anybody for anything at any time. So I mean, file the lawsuit. I don't know how that's gonna fly, because if Overtime Elite is actually paying them people, because Overtime Elite offered people professional opportunities at one point. They got an actual salary of like $100,000 or something like that. That's more than necessary living expenses. I think you can say that. I would be more than happy to take anybody's $100,000 who's inclined to give it to me, as a salary.
Well, Robert, I'm going to help you out here in the audience. According to documents filed in the case, the twins were paid each $33,000 per month while competing with Overtime Elite in the 21, 22, and 22-23 seasons. In an email sent to Chicago State, Associate Athletic Director, the NCAA wrote the twins received $31,000 more than what they would earn covering their expenses a month. The NCAA also wrote that the U.S. average monthly expenditure is $5,500 a month, give or take. But the twins received additional benefits, including lodging, 3 meals a day, transportation reimbursement, and educational services. They were permitted to receive only $1,986 a month to cover additional expenses. And that goes back to the NCAA bylaw.
Well, and okay, so good luck with the lawsuit. And they threw in the NIL stuff, and we all know what a Pandora's box that's been. So let's see how this goes.
All right. So with that, just a little bit of advice from the old man. Okay. Dr. Adams' recruiting advice. If done correctly, recruiting is a 40-year relationship, not a 4-year relationship. We need student athletes and their families and the people in their lives to do more homework, because obviously with all of this going on, rules are clearly established and we're still missing stuff. Doesn't mean the rules are right or anything like that, but you got to know what the rules are to know where you can have some fuzziness. Also, go to class, please. Go to class. And look for independent thought leaders in your life, like the CK Save Project, who gain nothing but satisfaction knowing that you're going to get a college degree. Will, close us out on this. What do you think as the player on the twin situation, as well as these not random rulings, but interesting rulings?
Very interesting. They allow the players to have a lot of say, and there's a lot of leeway they can do. So if there's anything that a player feels they're not given enough money or anything, they can definitely go out and sue. I think I've gone back over and over in this. The issue is they know they never had a foundational framework that's going to work for them, all the rules. So nobody knows the rules. So as long as people continue to get paid, or some people denied, or some people are approved, there's always going to be scrutiny. And those people will always have an opportunity to say, well, I can sue. They need to sit down, create a framework that works for everyone, include the students, the ADs, the coaches, business, and say, these are the rules of NCAA. This is how many years you have. This is what happens if you get hurt. This is how much money you make. This is how much percentage can go rent you based on this, outside of this. They need these rules. People crave rules, and they're acting. And it's nobody really knows. So they say, okay, well, it's up to the courts, and the courts are like, well, I'm just going to have to go what the book says.
The book says this.
Yeah,
stay out of court, and we'll talk about that tomorrow on our Thursday show about stay out of court.
yeah. So they need the rules. They need the framework. CKA, we can write that for them for a cost. We will do it. But we need rules. So that's the biggest thing for me, man. It always comes back to.
So fans, when we get back, we'll talk women's basketball as well as a tribute to the late, great Bobby Knight. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Folarin Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams, just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. In segment 3, we got WNBA expansion on hold. Portland is supposed to get one of those two teams, along with the team going in San Francisco, Golden State area. But there's a problem with the arena. So as a result, WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelberg told reporters after the Golden State announcement that the goal was to add that second extension, that franchise. But in a letter obtained, in light of potential renovation, that's going to be delayed. So why are you going to announce something and it's going to be delayed? Darn. So again, we hope Portland gets that. Expansion is needed. It's overdue. That area of the country is very hot and heavy with women's basketball. So I hope they get that taken care of. All right, Robert, Chicago Sky have named Jeff Paglosia as their GM, and the reason why I'm asking you to comment is the announcement comes after hiring Teresa Witherspoon, and this guy's credential, he's assisted in player development advising for the Chicago Sky for the past 4 years, including most recently serving as the player of skill development, the director of skill development. He also owns a company in the Chicago area that trains high school and college players, as well as WNBA and NBA players. Reason why I'm asking your comment, Robert, is last week we were talking about Phoenix's hire, and that guy had all NBA experience. This guy has WNBA experience, and that's why he's GM. Any thoughts on that before we move on?
Well, and he's an organization guy. He's been with this guy for a while. So I mean, I would say this hire makes a lot more sense. I'm always interested to see what'll happen when you hire a head coach first and then you hire a GM. because you want those two to be on the same page. And I suspect they probably are, because he's been in the organization and I'm sure he knows her. And so they've had conversations already, but that's going to be worth watching. I'm always interested to see how that goes, because if you don't get to hire your guy or your girl, things can go sideways in a hurry.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can. All right, Will, the WNBA draft lottery will take place December 10th. A 30-minute draft lottery special will air at 4:30 Eastern Time between the last two games of the Basketball Hall of Fame Women's Showcase triple header that day, and the draft is scheduled for April 15th. The Indiana Fever, Los Angeles Sparks, Phoenix Mercury, and Seattle Storm all missed the WNBA playoffs, and they're going to be in the lottery. So the projected top pick is Caitlin Clark. What do you think about the draft lottery being a 30-minute telecast? What do you think about that, Will?
It's a bit much, but hey, I love it. Get these women exposed. Let people see their faces. Let people understand, they're athletes, and get them out there. Get their name out there. There's people who they don't know Caitlin Clark. There's people who just heard her name and they don't know what she looks like. The biggest thing that you can do is just connect a name to a face, and the most exposure they can do. And now with the more creative kind of commercials and ads they're doing, exposure is the best thing. Grow the brand. Give the women a chance to show their talents and talk about it. And the biggest thing is they know a lot about basketball. If you ever sat down and watched a game and they had like an announcer, there's a lot of knowledge, and a lot of guys won't want to admit that. To just keep going, see how it works. There's people who are going to be haters and stuff like that, but it's good for the sport. It's good for the sport, and I will definitely tune in and check it out.
All right. So, final thoughts this week, fans. We lost a coaching legend, somebody that I modeled a lot of my work after. My high school coach, Hank Galata, was friends with Bobby Knight, and he would often mention Coach Knight, and we ran a lot of their stuff. And my favorite story about Coach Knight was I called my high school coach because Big Monday was a big deal. Robert will remember Big Monday when the Big Ten would be on, and I was watching a game, and I called my coach, and I could hear his wife say, "Hun, Keith's on the phone," because they treated me like a member of the family, and Coach always was deadpan with me. He was like, "Yes, son." I said, "Coach, Indiana's running our offense, man, like we invented it or something." And he said, "No, Keith, we're running their offense, and pretty poorly, I might add, and don't you have some homework to do?" So I'm happy you're watching basketball, but I'm your English teacher, and I know you got some work to do. Yes, coach. So even with that, he brought it back to academics. And say what you want about Bobby Knight. A lot of controversy, a lot of this, that, and the other, but his players graduated, and not a hint of scandal. And if you got a chance to listen to him just talk shop, you're going to learn something. Robert, we're contemporaries. Any thoughts about the general before we close out?
So my mom was a graduate of Indiana University, and she loved Bobby Knight. She loved him. She liked that his players graduate and he donates money to the library. She said that a lot. And I don't want to get into all of the, he was complicated, he was complex. I don't think you can, more than one thing can be true about people. He was a really, really good basketball coach. He was an amazing coach. And he could be a bully, and he could be boorish, and he could be sexist, and all of those things are true. And that goes for pretty much all of us. And, it's okay for us to set, to recognize the greatness in him, in his coaching, and also say he did some other things that weren't so good. He was a great coach. And I watched a lot of videos of him when I was coaching to try to learn stuff. Did I like the way he treated people always? No, because I don't think you treat people that way. But that's what he was human. In the end, he was human, and that's what you get.
Will, I wanted you to close because you played for me. You ran a lot of Indiana stuff. I made you guys watch Indiana tape. No candy stripes, candy cane sweats or anything. But any thoughts, because you are the player, and that was the kind of era as he was about to close out his career. Please share any thoughts you have on Bobby Knight.
Being a lot younger, I didn't see a lot of the championship stuff, so my view of Bob Knight is more so all the chairs thrown across the court, yelling at people, stuff like that was kind of, what I saw growing up. But the man was a savant when it comes to basketball. He knew what he was talking about, and he was unfiltered when he had his opinion, which we are. There are some things like Robert said, there are some things that I definitely don't like personally, but in the name of basketball, he's a legend. He's gonna be missed. All that knowledge is now in track. No longer there's no more information. It's locked with him forever. And the game is gonna miss him. He's one of the characters of basketball. Just like Jim Valvano, Coach K, and all those guys, and Bob Knight. I mean, when I was growing up, those were those guys. Lou Carnesecca, guys like that. It's an end of an era, and it's sad, but he'll be remembered as a great coach, and he will always be kind of a enigma socially as kind of a person. But he was a great coach, and he'll be missed. Yeah.
All right, and I think that's a good way to wrap up. So on behalf of our cavalcade of stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and/or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, and we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach FRANCHIZE. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.